Hello everybody, this is Alex from Hardcore Guides, my guide for Evil West on Evil difficulty. Today we're doing Chapter 10 entitled Bats in the Belfry. This chapter seemingly it has it all. You know, it's got a bunch of, like, just boss fight type stuff. Definitely has one of the hardest bosses when I was originally playing the game on, well, not only Evil, but just when I first played the game on normal. And I still would argue that he's probably definitely one of the harder bosses of the entire game. So we'll be meeting up with that, and yeah, it's still a pretty enjoyable chapter. It took me about like an hour to beat it fully, and you know, whenever you're playing a game like this, or just any game really, you start to, well, I mean, you know, if you're like me, you probably watch stuff while you play games, right? Well, it's funny because I now associate Smiling Friends with this chapter specifically, which is funny too because I think I was playing Evil West around the time where I was actually watching Smiling Friends, like season 1 or season 2 back like last year. I don't remember if it was last year. Yeah, it took them like a year to make season 3, and it's just funny how I was watching. I spotted that guy, thankfully. I was just watching them do like season 1 commentary today, and now it's like I cannot help but think about. Sorry, that was just my throat making noises. I can't help but think about, like, you know, Pim and all that other funny stuff. So just a funny little thing. I checked to make sure if I had any money to buy anything. Of course, I didn't. I didn't have anything for upgrades because, well, I don't have that yet. But I will be getting an upgrade in this chapter, and I'll be getting that dodge upgrade later. So if you're curious as to what's going to happen, then that's going to be it. Now, for this first fight, you can grab these guys, and then you can do the RB uppercut and punch them straight into, like, the vampire. They're basically vampires. So the vampire western dudes, I like to sometimes, if I'm able to, do an uppercut move and knock them into, like, the explosives or just the environmental hazards. Now, this fight kind of does suck a little bit because there's just going to be a ton of lackeys that are going to spawn in. So if you've ever played Ninja Gaiden before, then at this point in time, you're probably pretty used to the amount of like lackey stuff that happens. I am so sorry again about the whole like dying thing. It's been happening throughout the entire guide. I'm too lazy to change it at this point. So it's one of those things that like I really need to be a lot more careful of. But because I'm playing this on PC, it's a lot harder to kind of edit the video, and mistakes like that are going to happen throughout probably the entire guide. So I apologize. But if I die again, I'll go back and re-edit it and fix it. But yeah, so I like to try to punch these guys into the environmental hazards as much as I possibly can. And as soon as the big bat guy spawns down, because it takes like about a couple of kills to kind of get them to spawn, I would recommend using your. By the way, I do have the ability to parry that, or at least block that projectile now. So that skull projectile, it's telegraphed, and you can kind of. I forget exactly what the telegraph was, but you can definitely see it. I wait to just bust out rage mode whenever I can, especially on that guy, and I do have an upgrade that allows me, whenever I kill enemies, especially after a pummel, I believe it was, whenever I kill enemies with a pummel, I drop energy cells too. There is an upgrade out there that replaces energy cells. No. It's an upgrade that replaces health for energy cells, and I don't recommend getting that upgrade, personally speaking. Now, the problem with this fight, again, going back to the Ninja Gaiden aesthetic, is that it likes to throw in just a bunch of enemies at you at once, which makes this bat fight kind of hard. And this might sound weird for me to say this, but I don't think it's necessary to really focus on the bat, primarily. I think your priority for this fight specifically should be just the elites and the regular vampire guys. Now, the good news is, about the flamethrower at least, besides looking really off in this game, but who cares? We don't play for graphics in this household, now do we? The best part about the flamethrower is the fact that you can just use it to kind of stun the bat a little bit, or just normal enemies just as is, and it does work wonders on the bat to kind of stun him and cause him to not go for any specific attacks. Now, I'm just sort of face tanking a lot of this stuff, and my main goal, at least at this point in the game, is just to essentially build up rage mode and then wipe out any elites that might be showing up on the field, and then focusing on the boss right after. So That's kind of the main thing, is I'm trying to prioritize, once again, everybody else and just building up rage mode, which is why I'm constantly doing pummels and trying to get the cross built up so I can do more pummels on the boss and get more damage. It's the same old... It's realistically just the same old thing. It's going to be probably for a good while. I can't give you any better advice for a lot of the main arena fights because of the simple fact that by this point in time, if you've already utilized the pummel technique, then you're practically solid for a lot of the game. Thankfully, I remembered eventually that, oh yeah, group fights can be dealt with when it comes to using the shotgun. Something I didn't think about doing until, I guess, a little later, but at one point I do eventually just say, screw it, I'm just going to use the shotgun and just blast these guys down, which I do have the shotgun upgrade, the electric upgrade, which causes electrical balls to do continuous damage over time. They don't stay around for too long, but they're decent, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it does actually distract the enemies just a little bit, so you can kind of get them just off you a bit. You don't need the electric upgrades at all for any of the weapons. If you just want to save your money for something that you might think is better, then go for that. That's the thing with Evil West, is it's pretty much just kind of a build your own type game. Although the whole build aspect of the game is quite limited, but it's still something you could probably technically get away with. If you're more of a melee focus type player, you can pick melee focus, and if you're like me and you kind of just like a little bit of both with guns and melee, then you can just kind of, you know, obviously pick between those. The game's just a ton of fun. If you haven't played the game yet and you're watching my guide just for the sake of just watching somebody play it or whatever, I do highly recommend Evil West. It's quite fun, and Evil difficulty itself is not nearly... It's not really that hard, to be fair. I mean, I've played way harder, but that's just by default. Because a lot of the time, with a game like this, crowd control is practically necessary. And the game gives you tons of crowd control options, which is just amazing. The shotgun being able to blast through just pretty much everybody. The cross being able to stun... Well, it's pretty much just a screen nuke without actually being the nuke aspect of it. But it's definitely like a screen stun, which is really helpful. If you ever get yourself, you know, caught in something, you can build... you can get an upgrade where you can get invincibility for like 5 seconds if you use your healing ability. You know, stuff like that. There's just tons of crowd control options. And I think that's what makes this game a lot of fun for me, is just the fact that I can do that. Now, don't mind me, because I ended up finding progress on accident. Because I'm just kind of looking for... Well, I wouldn't really say accident, just more so I'm looking for where it could potentially be at, and instead of just checking back here first, which would have made more sense to see if this was progress, I decided to come back and then do that again. Also, the executions, I think, is what gives me the energy cells a bit. Because you can see... No, it just drops health. It might be random. I think it's random energy cells. But the fact that an energy cell could even drop at all is just... It is so useful to have that for a game like this. Because Rage Mode only requires 3 cells to use. Which is weird that they would do that. But I'm not going to complain too much. You know, if the game decides to say... You know, hey, 3 cells is enough, then that's fine with me. I'm not gonna argue with it too much. Other topics at hand. I'm currently going through Ninja Gaiden Master Ninja on my main channel, TreadMonkey497, and I'm doing a stream of it. It's already done 2 parts by now. Part 1 was like 3 hours. I've done like 5 hours just today of pretty much just going through, and I got to, I think, like chapter 14 where I play as Rachel again. So yes, we've gotten past the first Alma fight and got past the evil Ryu stuff. And while playing it, it's funny because I'm playing it a lot different than I used to. I keep going back to watch my old guide to see and kind of compare, like, did I have any good advice whatsoever? And funny enough, no. Like, weirdly, or I should say, I wouldn't say it was relatively bad advice, but it's definitely outdated at this point because I've proven myself. I've proven to myself, at least, that I'm a lot better at the game than I used to be. So maybe, I don't know, this might be a little too much. I might be asking for a little too much here, but maybe I should just do a re-guide and just go ahead and say, like, the original Ninja Gaiden Sigma Master Ninja run's a little outdated on the playlist itself, so that way people know, like, oh, okay, so, you know, this one's This one's a lot older. It's got, you know, less tips and advice. And I guess you could say that could happen with Evil West. Is a lot of what I'm doing here is very basic and just... I'm not doing anything stylish. You know, I don't focus on the style aspect. I focus on efficiency. So that's always been kind of my motto with things like this. Not that there's anything wrong with being stylish. I love watching combo mad videos. So it's definitely in my blood. But I'm not the type to be very performative when it comes to trying to do things. I like to get things done. And I think we all can kind of share that, you know, coin together. Like one side of a coin together. I don't think that's anything wrong with that. But I do think that my Evil West guide is probably going to be as good as it's probably going to get, because there's nothing else I can really add or take away unless it's like a specific fight that I can tell you much things about. So here I grab bait and switch. It's not necessary. You can still get away with getting good dodges, but if you do want to get it, by all means, go ahead and get it. It's actually pretty good, though. It's nothing... Actually, no. Do I get something else? I forget. Because I do get the zap dodge eventually. Maybe, okay. So I get a cell upgrade first. That's what it was. And then I level up eventually, and then I get the upgrade I'm looking for. Okay. So that was also a necessary upgrade in my opinion, too. Alright, this part, it looks really bad. It really looks really bad, I know. Oh my god. Can you not edit shit worth shit? Jesus Christ, dude. I'm so bad at editing, I swear. I know I said I was going to do it twice, but it's too late in the video now at this point. Who cares? So, just to kind of go over what I would suggest, just if you have Rage Mode available, just activate it instantly and just start blasting down the shield guys. Don't worry about the fodder just yet. Just blast them down, build up some pummels, get some shotgun shots just to take out the crowd, and, you know, cross whenever you can, so that way you could get some kills. Get some grapple pulls so you can get the energy cells out of them, and that way you can build up Rage Mode once again if you happen to have the same upgrade that I do. If you don't, then at that point you're pretty much kind of stuck with using pummels to build up Rage, and that is efficient, yes, but it's not the most efficient thing either. So that's why I suggest if you happen to have the same upgrades that I do, that would be really useful. But you can respec at the hub area. You can respec there, I'm pretty sure. So if you wanted to play the same way that I do, you can easily do that. But basically the idea here is to essentially just get into Rage Mode and just whittle them down, and then just start beating the hell out of whatever the hell, you know, is pretty much trying to beat you up, pretty much. So yeah, and then build up that Rage meter and just go ham, practically. That's kind of why I bought the Energy Cell Plus, or why I bought another Energy Cell, so I could just have like an extra little one, you know, around. Sorry, just having an extra one around. By the way, for those that are not familiar with the shield guys' attacks just yet, because it did take me a while to kind of learn their attack pattern. When they have their shield up, that's actually a 2-hit when they do the shield bash thing. That's technically a 2-hit, so you'll have to block and then block almost like a second after. That's how that works. I swear to God, if I have another death in here that shows up in this video, that's going to suck. But hey, at least you guys know that I'm not perfect at anything I do. So, me dying is just kind of a thing that happens. But sometimes I die so quick to the point where I can't play very well. I hope I caught that guy. Thank God. I'm going to say. Alright, now we're just basically going into town. This is just, honestly, kind of a bit of a nothing burger. Just a few enemies that just get in the way. They're practically just fleas. I know they're called ticks in-game, I believe. But they practically exist like an actual tick, or at least a flea. They're just kind of annoying. Yes, if they bite you, it sucks, but they're at least relatively disposable when it comes to this game. So they're just kind of here to probably give you an extra bit of XP and stuff like that. There's a couple of gold nearby and what have you. Also, if you're wondering why is my hand red, it's because I have an upgrade that allows me, I forget exactly what the upgrade was. I think it's either during a pummel or something like that, or if I hit, you know, if I time my punches or something like that, it will give me extra, like, I think 30% damage on the next 3 hits or whatever it was. But yeah, there's that There's one elite in here. There's a couple of vampires. I think they're technically called... I mean, they're all... Actually, technically, they're all vampires. I mean, that's kind of the point of this game. Well, for the most part, they're all vampires. Except for, like, the Lycans that we fight. I kind of forgot that these guys are technically also, I believe, vampires as well. Or at least the more, you know... Not like basic vampire, but yeah. The other little fodder guys just look like more like zombies. So, the big... this guy is in this fight. But funny enough, I wouldn't recommend fighting him. I wouldn't worry about fighting him too much. Just take out the guys that are coming after you. The really quick, you know, guys, the Wild West, the cowboys, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know why I have a hard time describing anything. If you take blindness, who cares? It's fine. Especially for me right there, where I just essentially... All I had to do was just go into my invincibility for 5 seconds and then just go ahead and chew through that guy like it was nothing. Now, whenever they're doing that weak spot hit for the cowboys, when they're flying up there and they're attaching themselves to other people, I don't remember exactly what that's supposed to technically do. However, it does last long enough to where you can just get a pretty good quick shot off on them. So, there's that. And once again, just like with anything else, just essentially build up rage mode. And this thing has like a lot of enemies. So, build up rage mode and just start doing group, you know, control. Don't worry about this guy because he has like no health whatsoever. It's funny because the dude was essentially like he had his own boss fight and everything, and he still just has like no health, at all. Dude just has nothing going for him. So once again, you know, just rage mode, take out the fodder, that kind of thing when you can build it up or build into it, and there you go. And now it's time for the fun part of the game where it's just pretty much platforming and puzzle solving, which the puzzle in itself is not that bad either, so no worries. Now, I'm going to take a small little look here and see if I was too stupid to figure this one out. No. I mean, I knew what to do. It was just, okay, I didn't think so. I was wondering if the target was up here, because when you get on that tower, there will be a target that's up somewhere around this area that you have to shoot at. So I was thinking, like, did I miss the target, like, while I was up there? No, I think it's just one of those where you have to kind of aim from the middle tower to pretty much just do everything. Which, for the most part, I think you can just do everything from the middle tower anyway. Maybe except for this one. So there you go. Just blow that up, shoot that, and that's 1 out of 3. So, and then after you shoot that one, climb up the tower thing, like I said, and the rest will basically be on the top that you need to aim for. Because I remember that one being there. I've played this game enough to kind of just memorize where a lot of the locations are. Besides, the game tells you anyway, so it's nothing really new. But you have to get a high enough vantage point to kind of shoot that down anyway. Yeah, so it's like it's up there technically. Okay. I don't think you can get on that ladder, and that's pretty much the highest you can go as far as I can tell. So there's that. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, when you're playing the game, I do not mind the puzzles in this game whatsoever. I don't mind having that. I think that's the rifles upgrade. The railgun, yes. So basically, hitting a weak spot now restores a bullet spent on it, which was something that's weird because I could have sworn that we had that before. No, because, oh, I see. Okay, now I see what it was. It wasn't highlighted on the electric upgrade. Oh. I kept thinking, like, I could have sworn I had that upgrade. Like, what the hell? Well, yeah, I do. So, no worries there, folks. No worries there. I just had a slight little bit of, I don't know. It just was kind of weird. Also, I like this level's design. I like the way the level is designed here. I'm not a big fan of, like, Wild West stuff, but at the same time, like, I love Evil West. It's so fun. I love when a game can just kind of have fun with itself and kind of incorporate, whatever themes it's trying to go for and just incorporate them in, like, weird, wacky ways without trying to be too extreme into one direction. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh, there's a hanging guy there, too. Yep, top left, right above me. I didn't even catch him, I guess. Once again, I was looking around for him and didn't even see him. Because I'm too concentrated on trying to just get through the level without looking like an idiot. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where I end up looking like an idiot because I just missed a dude. So, my bad. Now, these guys spawn from somewhere. Probably probably from one of the buildings, I'm guessing. I don't know. But there you go. It's just a couple of, you know, the regular vampire guys, or at least the main vampire type enemies, and pretty much just a big bag of nothing. You can kind of consider this part filler, because there's just essentially nothing really happening. I mean, a couple of beatdowns and stuff like that, but there's no real true big giant threat. It's just very basic fodder enemies, which we don't see this very often in this game. And now that I'm playing this chapter again, it's like, well, I think I now kind of understand why they kind of kept it to mostly the arena fights, because this game works better as an arena type game rather than just an action adventure game. You know what I mean? Where like something like, well, I mean, technically Devil May Cry has always sort of kind of been room to room fights, but not really fully. People say that Ninja Gaiden 2 is kind of like that, which I can see that. But Ninja Gaiden 1, definitely not. But this game definitely works really well with the room to room. I don't mind that personally. I'm sure, you know, if any other modern game did it, I would probably hate it, but this game gets a pass, like, by default. You know, it's already just good anyway, so I don't know what to tell you. And this part actually gave me a little bit of trouble, essentially because there's just a ton of enemies. You can kind of consider this an arena of its own, even though it's much more of a hallway arena type thing. You got a couple of the, I don't know what you call them, like the mushroom, the cage enemies, whatever the hell you could technically consider them as. You got a bunch of those guys just kind of hanging out and doing their own thing up above on the rooftops. And once again, this is where crowd control, like this is where you're going to have to learn, this is a good place to learn crowd control at this point. That's what I'm trying to say. And because of the amount of enemies we have fighting here, the rage mode thing, like the rage punch, probably won't be very effective, and that's why I went for the shooting rage mode instead, because I felt like it can at least hopefully wipe out a couple of enemies a lot faster and a lot more efficiently, because there's just so damn many of them. And this part's a little bit overwhelming, but if you ever get overwhelmed, just run back to the very beginning of this area, because a lot of these guys just kind of spawn in like a very specific wave, so it's kind of hard to exactly describe, but they don't really show up until you kind of go next, like, until you kind of go into their territory, it seems. Well, then again, I can't really fully confirm if that's true or not, but from what it seems like, it seems as if they only really ever just come after you when you get close to their area. That's what I'm trying to get at. So, go in, punch them up a bit, you know, run back, that sort of thing. Just keep doing pummels, keep up your pummels. Get your shotgun. I have a shotgun cooldown, by the way, for those that haven't watched the previous chapters. I have the shotgun cooldown. I'm pretty sure the shotgun fully upgraded, so it's going to have the cooldown effect, which is really nice. And practically just almost necessary sometimes. And there's your perk point now, so this is where I'm going to end up basically going and buying the dodge mechanic, where you get the electric dodge. It does actually help, though. Like, believe it or not, it does actually help. But it's not necessary, like I said. You can pretty much, for the most part, get away with a lot of the very basic dodges in this game just fine. Jesse's not bad at dodging, I promise. So, the game is pretty nice when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Alright, time for one of the hardest bosses in the entire game. Especially, well, at least in my opinion. I think he's definitely one of the hardest bosses to take down. But I'm going to show you what I do, and show you a couple little tricks and tips that I can give you. Now, I want to start off by saying this real fast. Or I should wait until we start the boss, actually. I'll wait until we start the boss. That way, if anybody skips ahead to the boss fight, they'll know what I'm talking about. Alright, so this is Bruch. Or Bruch, whatever. I instantly just start off with a block. His blocking, or his moves are very, very fast, so you're going to be wanting to probably like spam block quite a bit, or at least, you know, obviously learn the timing, that's one thing, but he does spam a lot of attacks when he gets you going with that, and I just use rage mode to do as much damage as I can. And something else to kind of be wary of is when you shotgun him, it's kind of weird. It's really weird to describe this. I also have the invincibility there, so that's what I was doing. That's why I was pummeling him, or punching him down a bit. This takes like 3 shots. Make sure that every time he goes up here, you shoot him. Again? Did I seriously forget again? Oh my god. Can you not make a good fucking... This is the worst one we've done so far. I've shown off like 15 different deaths. I'm so sorry. I can't do this. Apparently. But I like to do this combination of things. I like to go into rage mode, shotgun, and then just cross on the very first, so I can get just as much damage as I can. Now, look at him not really doing anything. That's pretty much what happens when you just do, like, you know, pummels and stuff. It stops him from doing much of his attacks, like his basic attacks. Now, let this be known. This motherfucker has lots of random things that he can do. As in, every time that he goes up there and he comes back down here, there's a chance that he could either summon enemies to come toward you, like the werewolf or the vampires. He can summon vampires to come toward you. He can come down here and summon leeches toward you. All of what I'm doing right now might not happen in the exact order that'll happen to you. You might have an entire fight where you don't have to fight the vampires one bit. So, do bear in mind. By the way, I don't think him going down does damage to you, but the leeches do a ton of damage, so watch out for them. I used to think that fire was effective, but not really. Especially since I don't have an upgraded, you know, flamethrower, it doesn't really help much. Once you break down, if he's doing that shooting attack thing, once you break that down with 3 shots, he will pretty much go into a stun, and then after that, that's when you're gonna want to go and just start pummeling him down with rage or whatever you have available. Just start getting a bunch of attacks. But whenever you beat him down like a ton, he ends up, you know, kind of like doing what he's doing right there. He's not really attacking much. And when that happens, that's a good time to kind of build up his yellow bar. Your main focus for this entire fight is just essentially building up that bar. When he's chasing after you like that, he's going for that slice attack. So just basically spam it. Now here's the kicker though. You're going to want to block right as soon as he's doing an animation of an attack. If he does a single different animation, go for a block, because most of the time it's probably an attack, and it will hit you pretty damn fast too. So that's something you have to be very careful of, because the attack animation, the actual attack itself comes out essentially as soon as the animation starts. So that's something to kind of look out for. When he does this leech thing right here, you're going to want to keep your cross for that. You don't have to use the cross at the beginning like I did, so if you want to keep it around, because it's RNG. He could do that like in the second phase if he wanted to. It doesn't matter. He'll do it whenever he wants to. If you're more comfortable with using it like I did, then go ahead. But if you really don't trust yourself, just save it for when he's doing the leech thing and just pop him out of it. It's a lot safer just to do it that way. It's not hard to dodge the leech thing necessarily, but it's a lot safer and probably keep you from dying too much. I'm going for revolver shots just because it's fast, it's quick, it just gets them over with. So that's why I'm doing that for. But yeah, since I didn't have what I needed, that's pretty much why I went for that. He also heals from every attack that he lands with the leeches, by the way, so be careful of that too. And pretty much just dodge that as you see fit, because it's just slightly random as well. And sometimes he drops health when you shoot him there, but sometimes he don't. And look, I got really lucky though, because none of the fodder enemies got to spawn in this fight. But when fodder enemies do spawn in this fight, just keep an eye on him the entire time too. Keep him like in the back of your mind when he teleports up here, because he'll just eventually start doing this shooting thing, and that's something you want to watch out for. So, okay, here's the fodder enemy. Okay, never mind. I thought I got lucky, but I guess I didn't. If the leech guys get too close and they're close enough like to each other, just go for the shotgun. Just blow them up with the shotgun. And this thing, just keep, if it's coming toward you, you can't break it, then just keep dodging, and you'll eventually just avoid it that way. For now, if you do get the fodder to pop up, just try to build up pummels, so that way you can get your rage mode going, and get some energy cells kind of out of it, so that way, if he does come down here, we can just beat him down with a rage instead. The thing that's really annoying is, the game won't necessarily tell you when you're about to be attacked by him. It just kind of is like a slight indicator, like, oh, he's up there, by the way. And it's like, I know, but oh, either way, that's pretty much it for this boss. It sucks, I know, but you can do it. Anyway, that's it. So take care, everybody.